Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Behind me I got a 2007 Ford Focus. This one has the 4-cylinder engine. I believe it's a 2-liter, and this car has around 150,000 miles. And today we're going to go ahead and replace the spark plugs and coil packs. Now the coil packs are original and the spark plugs may or may not be, but the vehicle owner is experiencing a misfire that I have tracked to a bad coil pack, so they basically just want to do the whole thing. Now before we go ahead and begin, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below. Definitely smash that like button because it helps the channel out. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started on today's video. So I have the camera in my hand here, and these are going to be our 4 coil packs. They're basically located on top of the engine, and right there you can see we got 1, 2, 3, 4 retaining bolts, and then we have those 4 connectors, and that's what hold our coil packs into place. Now I'm going to go ahead and set the camera down here, get everything positioned correctly. And what we're going to start off with, this is going to be pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and push our little connector tabs and go ahead and just unplug all of our coil packs. Now, one key thing that I always want to mention before you start a job like this, make sure your engine is not hot. You never want to replace your spark plugs on a warm engine or a hot engine. You can actually create some damage there and take out threads. So what I always recommend is make sure that the engine has been cooling down for a while. This engine's been sitting in the stall here for about 2 or 3 hours now while I've been waiting for the parts. So it's nice and cool, nothing hot. You can see I can put my hand on it. It's not warm at all. So now that we got our coil packs unplugged, what we're gonna do is take our 8mm on our impact, and what I'm gonna do is simply remove the 8mm bolt that holds on the coil pack. And once you have your 8mm bolt removed on the coil pack, all you have to do is go ahead and pull up on your coils. Now I'm going to do this to all of them, but I'm going to show you just on one of them just to, make this video quick, simple, and easy. When you pull your coil pack off, always inspect your boot. Make sure this isn't filled with oil and that oil isn't covering everything here. Because if you got oil covering everything in here, you may have to potentially replace your valve cover gasket or your seals in your spark plug tube there, because that'll mean that those are leaking into your spark plug well, causing an issue. And then you have a bigger issue than just coil packs and spark plugs at that point. You'd have to remedy that issue. If you do find that, do not go ahead and install your new parts. Just leave it be until you're able to get the other parts that you need, or until you can do the job or take it into a mechanic depending on your skill level. But I believe in this video we're not going to be dealing with that today. This one's pretty straightforward, I believe. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and take off the 3 other remaining coils just like we did for the first one, and then we're just gonna kind of move on from there. So let me go ahead and get the rest of these out of here. As everyone can see, pretty simple, and then I'll bring you guys right back in. So I went ahead and I got 3 coils out, as everybody saw, but then I ran into an issue with this 4th one. And just to kind of show everyone what's going on, if I take my impact to try to get this off, it just spins in there. Now here's the thing with this. I suspect that somebody has been in here before, and I think they might have over torqued these bolts. And the main reason being is that if you look at these 2 coil packs here, primarily the boots, you can see this one, it looks like it's brand new, and this one looks like it's older. So I think someone's been in here, they've replaced these before. Now I can't really say how long ago, but it's definitely been a thing. Now, what winds up happening on these, and this is one critical thing that I gotta mention, is that these coils bolt into these riv nuts that are encased in the plastic. If you don't have throttle control on whatever tool you're using to put these back on, normally I recommend, if you don't have experience with power tools, use a 1/4-inch ratchet and just snug them on. Never just take your impact like this and go crazy to town on them. As far as for removal, you can use an impact, but some people don't know how to throttle control, and I think that's what might have happened in this scenario, or they possibly cross-threaded them. So when you put your 8mm on here, what happens is we just get spinning. Now, one way that I deal with this, and it's not the best way, is you have 2 options. You can either break this coil pack, which is not a problem for me because we are going to be reusing, I'm sorry, we're not reusing our coil packs, we got new ones. Or what you can do is just wedge something underneath as you spin it off here, and just like that, just as I anticipated, it looks like it lifted up. So let's see if we can just grab a hold of this, and just like that, there you go. So clearly we can all see that whoever did this last over-tightened this or probably cross-threaded it. Now I'm gonna go to the bench. I'm gonna take everyone with me. Let's see what they did here. I'm gonna grab some vice grips and grip this and see what happened here. So I am at my bench here, and I'm just gonna use these small pliers to hold that rib nut casing. And then what I'm gonna do is blast this off. And this thing is still spinning. You can see there's a lot of brass shavings on my bench here. Let me try to hold this down extra sturdy and just see what happens here. Wow. Okay, so I don't think this is the case of someone cross-threading. I'm sorry, over-tightening it. I think this is cross-threaded in there because even though brass is soft, this can grab it and, you know, basically it's just shearing off there, just spinning. Let me try a couple different other ways here. I'm gonna see if I can get this off because I'm very, very curious. Plus, if it's just over tightened and not cross-threaded, I can glue this back into place so that way the coil pack has some way to adhere onto it, because this can, you know, definitely ruin your day. So let me see if I can get this off here by other means. So we are at our vise now. I have it clamped up. Let's try this again. And it looks like it came off and it's not cross-threaded. So I'm gonna believe that somebody just over-tightened this, or that plastic is fatiguing, getting weak. But basically, this is what we have. This is what we need. So now that we got this off, I'll show you guys the fix for this if this happens to you. As long as your valve cover didn't crack, which I checked ours, it hasn't. And I'll show you in the video what to look out for. So let's go ahead and get back to the car and get this put back in there. So I have everyone zoomed in here, and what you want to look out for is this is the little holder for the little rib nut, whatever you want to call it. And you want to make sure that there's no cracks in the outlying areas. Now on this car, we can clearly see there's no cracks. Everything looks good. So what I'm gonna choose to do here is just clean up my hole with some brake cleaner. If you just get it in there, clean it up, and then go ahead and spray it off with your air, which I'm gonna do when my camera isn't in the way, because brake cleaner is pretty volatile to the lens here. I don't want to destroy my camera, but I'm gonna basically just clean this up with brake cleaner, blow it out with some air. Then I'm going to take some epoxy and go ahead and just layer the sides of my rib nut. Nice little coating. Put a little bit on the inside of there, and I'm gonna let this set. Now you wanna be very careful because you don't wanna use too much and get it inside the threading here, because then you'll never get your bolt off. So you gotta be very gentle with this. Don't overdo it. So I wasn't expecting this today. This is actually a good way to show everyone what can happen when you work on cars. So, you know, it happens. What can you do? I'm not gonna be the type of mechanic that's gonna tell this customer now you need a whole new valve cover just because of this little minute thing. So we're gonna go ahead and fix this now. I cleaned up my hole, everybody saw. Let me get some glue for this, some epoxy, and then we're gonna go ahead and put it back in there. So I've got my 2-part epoxy here, and I just put it on this paper. Went ahead and we're just gonna mix this up here. I'm using a JB Weld epoxy, and what I'm gonna do is just layer up the sides of this, and we're just gonna go ahead and give this a nice little healthy dosing, nothing too much. And once we get our rib nut with all that, we're gonna go ahead and go back to the car here. And what I always like to do is take a little bit of my epoxy and just put it into our work area here. Now I apologize because I know I'm gonna be blocking the camera. And what I do after I do this is I'm just gonna take a screwdriver, something small that'll fit in here, and just coat it really good. Again, you're not looking to globber this. You just want to get enough on the sides to be able to have a nice buildup. So I believe we have a nice buildup in there now. What I'm gonna do, and you want to be very careful, it kind of sits up here. We're just gonna tap this back into place. And you want to be very gentle because remember, it's plastic. You don't want to break anything. And the reason why I had to tap it is because that insert goes in just a little bit deeper. And then what I'm gonna do is go ahead, take out our bolt, which should come off just like that. And you wanna clean up any epoxy that may have come out of the sides here. And I'm gonna go ahead and check and see, and it looks like we should be good. Nothing came in our threads, and there's nothing on our hardware. So I think we're golden. What you gotta do from this point on is give the epoxy enough time to basically just seal up in there and harden, which this is a 5-minute epoxy. It should get nice and sturdy pretty quick here by the time we get our spark plugs in and out. But I'm still gonna give it about 45 minutes to an hour just to play it safe. So while we're waiting for this epoxy to dry up, I just wanna take a quick moment and kind of, remind people and everyone, especially this is going to be geared more towards mechanics that do this for a living, that if you're working on this car and that happens, what would you do? And the quick answer isn't always, oh, nope, they got to replace the valve cover because it's bad and we're not going to fix it that way. You got to be a tech. It's a small thing that doesn't affect anything else. And honestly, that little bolt is only supposed to be on there a couple of inch-pounds. It's not really rated for high torque. So, you can get away with just epoxying it in there. Now, I get it, some people don't want to take the liability, and I think that's a bunch of BS, because realistically, you gluing that in there is not going to do anything as long as you mention it to the customer and they're aware. So there's no issue later on where they go somewhere else, and let's say they get the car worked on and say, hey, somebody glued your car together, which as long as you explain it to your vehicle owners or your customers, they're all right. Now, if you're doing this at home DIY, this doesn't really pertain to you because, in this scenario, you're either going to wind up fixing it or replacing it or taking it in someplace, depending on how you feel about it. But it's just a little reminder for us techs out there that not everything is solved by just taking a parts can and upselling a job, because even though I could have easily called this customer up and said, hey, you need a new valve cover and a gasket and more parts and labor and this and that, it's not the route that I'm going to. I'm not trying to hurt my customers, especially in today's economy. You got to be mindful and take care of your customers. In this scenario, I explained everything to them. They're okay, they're aware of it. And I know it's not going to hurt anything, so we chose to fix it the way that we fixed it, which was just epoxying it together. So before anyone gets on me and starts saying, oh no, that's the wrong way, this and that, think of it however you want, but it's literally a little nutsert embedded in the plastic. It has no effect other than holding the coil pack on. And the coil pack will go on and be held, and it'll work, save the customer hundreds of dollars by not replacing a valve cover, which in my book is a good thing. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. People might disagree with me, but I'm gonna go home sleeping well knowing that I helped somebody out and I didn't just take them to the cleaners trying to upsell on a job. And that's something us mechanics lose sight of every now and then. So I wanted to touch base, because stuff like this happens unexpectedly. There's nothing you can do. It'll happen. Just kind of deal with it. But just a reminder, deal with it the appropriate way. If there's something you can do, help somebody out, because you can't just hit your customers over the head. And I'm all about customer service. I want to make money too, don't get me wrong. That's the only way I can exist here, doing these videos and working on cars and making a living supporting my family. But I have a fine line where, I remember that I'm not here without my customers and their support. So I'm going to help people out as much as I can and not just instantly load up the parts can and then poof, shoot it off and upsell them when this happens on something like this. So just a reminder for everyone, take it easy out there, especially if you're a mechanic. Don't hit people over the head for something small like this that you can easily take care of in 5 minutes. That's literally what it took me, 5 minutes, and everything's gonna be okay, and I got a happy customer. So now that we have our coil packs off and we dealt with our little debacle, it's time to take the spark plugs off. So what I'm gonna be doing is, a lot of you may disagree with this, I'm gonna use the impact to take them off. And we're just going to go ahead and spin them off like this. And I'll tell you right now, someone has probably replaced these before. I could tell just by the feel. These are not even really tightened in here, which is a little scary. And I wonder if this has something to do with what we're experiencing or why the coil pack failed early. So I'm gonna reach in here now with my magnetic tool and why can't I get this in here? There we go, just like that. And sure enough, someone has been in here before. These are newer spark plugs. So someone's been in here and I don't know what they've done, but it just looks like they replaced spark plugs. Now I'm gonna get all of these out of here just like so. they look fairly new. They don't have a lot of wear on them. Although I will say is that I'm not a big fan that they are Bosch. I do like replacing these with NGK, and that's what we have here. We have NGK Iridium. So we're gonna go ahead and start threading these off by hand. Always get a couple threads by hand. Don't ever take your impact gun and just impact these into place. It's probably the worst thing you can do. Now you can use an impact if you're very careful, just to help run them down, and then you get them torqued in there. However, just be very, very careful. I have used my impact before to run them down, and people always say, you know, the YouTube know-it-alls, you shouldn't use an impact to run them down, you're gonna destroy them, you're this, you're that. I have, you know, control over my tools, so what I'm gonna do is show you the process with an impact here. Just look at this, very minimal, and it stops. I'm not using this to impact anything. The second it feels resistance, I'm able to stop. And I'm just helping spin these into place, so that way I'm not doing it by hand and it takes me an extra 10-15 minutes of just, you know, hand tightening them. So now that they're snug with that, what I'm gonna do is take my ratchet here, make sure they're fully snug, and as soon as I feel a little bit of resistance here, which you will get, you can see I'm getting about half a turn. If you know how to control your gun there and not impact them in. So now these are just snug. I use my ratchet and my 5/8. I'm gonna go ahead and get my torque wrench, and I'm gonna go ahead and torque them into place. Now, I'm not gonna mention torque. For those of you that have been watching for years, you know I don't share torque numbers, just because I don't know what year or what variation of this engine you're working in or on, and they could have changed the torque specs, so it could all change. So for that fact, I'm gonna leave torque specs out and just mention that you have to torque them. Now, I apologize for that. We're in Chicago, someone was outside. Clearly didn't have a muffler on or something. That thing sounded like a lawnmower. But either way, I'm gonna go ahead and torque these off camera. Like I said, I don't share specs because you never know if they change over the course of years. Just tighten and torque your spark plugs to what you feel is correct. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and bring you guys back in. Now that you've tightened and torqued your spark plugs with whatever method you prefer, what you're gonna wanna do is take your coil packs. Now your coil packs, they come like this. They don't really have anything in here. What I like to do is add a little bit of dielectric grease or tune-up grease. Now this is what I use. They call it tune-up grease or dielectric grease. Sorry for the lighting in this video because this light is kind of killing it when I'm getting close to the camera. But you just wanna throw a little bit in there. You don't wanna, you know, fill it all the way up, but just get enough in there. So we're gonna do this to all 4 coil packs. Now I'm only showing you the one. I'm gonna grab the other 3 that I already pre-filled them. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up, but basically I do this on the bench. Just for video purposes, I wanted to show everyone the one on the car here. So now that we have our coil packs into place, make sure they are seated in there nice and firmly. And what we're gonna do next is go ahead and grab our impact and go to town and tighten things down. Now, I am clearly joking. We are not gonna do that. I don't wanna break anything like we just dealt with. So I'm gonna take my hardware here. We're gonna go ahead and put it into place, start them off by hand, just like so. You don't need to get too crazy. And it's been about 45 minutes, 30 minutes since we fixed this rib nut here on the other side. And look at that, flawlessly it went on there. That's the thing about not using too much epoxy, is that you're gonna be able to not get it in the threads, and you'll be able to reuse the bolt to hold them into place. So on these, what I like to do is run them down. It's a lot easier without having the ratchet attached. Pretty long bolts for what they are. I'm surprised these things are a little bit shorter, but yeah, you know what? That's what they did. So then what we're gonna do, just take our ratchet and we're gonna go ahead and tighten these down and click. Literally, that's all it takes, click. Now, I don't actually use a torque wrench for these. Just make a little clicking noise. Very, very snug, like right there. And clearly that one held in place. You can see our coil pack is nice and sturdy. It's not moving any more than the rest of them. All right, so I had to end the clip there pretty quickly because I had a customer come in, but what you're gonna wanna do next is go ahead and plug in all your coil packs and make sure you push them in all the way. Sometimes you'll hear an audible click, sometimes you won't, sometimes it could be very light. And then, you know, that's basically it. Now, one thing that you always wanna do after you do this is start your engine, let it run for a little bit, make sure that there's no more misfires or any issues. Now, initially, sometimes depending on how bad your misfire was, you may have excess fuel inside the cylinder or some gunk. You may want to give it a second or two to clear out, but realistically, just turning them on, running them for a few minutes, and then monitoring them will give you all the info that you need to know. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and do that on camera because every situation is different. This video just wanted to really cover how to do the tune-up, and then we got that extra bonus info because of that broken cert. But other than that, that's how you tune up a Ford with a 2-liter 4-cylinder. It's pretty basic, pretty simple, pretty easy. Hopefully this video helps somebody out. So we are all said and done. It's actually pretty simple to do these. They're actually not that bad. And we got a little bit of bonus content with that broken time cert inside of that valve cover. So, you know, a little bit of extra there for everyone. Hopefully that'll help you out if you run into that. But overall, this job is pretty simple and easy. Minimal tools. Really all you need is a ratchet, spark plug socket, an extension, and 8mm with a 1/4-inch ratchet. That's pretty simple, pretty basic. So hopefully this video helps you guys out. Like always, comment, like, and subscribe because it definitely helps the channel grow. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll catch you on the next video.